You can see what we're doing here. We're bringing in truckloads of wood chips. This is ground up from storm damage by the city. The city lets us have it. And then of course we, as a large institution, have lots of cardboard. We put it down pretty thick here. And then we drop the stuff on top of it and rake it out. Now, the obvious reason for doing sheet mulching is why people do it in their gardens and whatnot. That's to suppress weeds and retain moisture. And that's part of the reason that we're doing this. But the other reason that we're doing this is you can see where we've planted trees all around here, these fruit trees. We planted 100 fruit trees. We got about 90 of them surviving. And when we soil tested here, the pH was about 7.5, something like that. Fruit trees in general, the target you want to hit is about dead on 6 for a pH. And the addition of wood chips, as they begin to compost and break down, we'll start to acidify the soil a little bit, start dropping that down. And the other thing that we did was around the trees, to add nitrogen and to bring the pH down, we threw blood meal around the trees above where it would percolate down into the roots. So between the blood meal and the wood chips, we've got the pH down to about 6.2 now, which is real close, about 0.2 more, and we'll be exactly where we like to have that pH. But the other thing we're doing here is kind of a massive experiment. If you look at how big the food forest area is that we've selected out here, we're actually going to cover all of this that's around the main trails, all the way up to the erosion, to the drainage ditch, and to the swales back here, and to the big swale over here in these wood chips. And we're covered very thickly. You'll see over here. Well, we'll come over this way. We started these. Was it Thursday? No, Wednesday. When by some climate change fluke it got to be about 60 degrees out here in February, and then came back in a couple days, and now we didn't quite finish spreading it over here in pure Michigan. But when we spread it out in places, we're not spreading it out flat. We're allowing little hillocks to be formed out there. So in a way, in a very sort of gentle, experimental way, we're actually altering the topography here. We're taking it from a fairly smooth and flat topography to one that has small hills going through there, so we can create a number of microclimates for a greater variety of vegetation to grow in and around the trees. And we're gonna direct that growth by putting some species out here that we want to see come back again and again: the comfrey, lovage, borage, and some other things that we want to see: garlic, tansy, all the other good companion plants. Well, at any rate, you'll see what. And instead of planting into the soil, we'll plant those plants directly into the wood chips, and see how that works. Because the wood chips, when we leave them in a big pile, like this one is where it's going to be. Essentially, what you've got here is another hugel mound. Eventually, when we have plants on there that we want, we might re-sheet mulch it and all that, but we've got all this decaying wood underneath there. So we get exactly the same kind of process we've got going on in the hugel mounds up there where we're growing berries right now. And so hopefully it's going to give us an opportunity to try some new plants out here in the edible forest. The other thing that this really thick mulch is doing, and again, there's no way we could foresee what all of the outcomes are going to be, but it definitely is going to hold the moisture a lot longer, because it's going to create the water won't run off anymore. It's going to hit that surface and it's going to percolate down and slow it, so you won't have much runoff anymore. And hopefully that'll solve some of the problems that we have in the lowest parts of the walking trail in here, where it gets a little mucky when it rains. But it's getting mucky because it's right there in the direction of the runoff, and you see we've sort of dammed it up with some of the chips over there. So we'll see. One of the things we want to do after we get all this spread is come back and check on it, say in June, and see what species of plants we've got growing in the wood chips, and by then we'll be able to see the progress of some of the stuff that we put in spring. So maybe we'll come back and revisit this with some follow-on videos over the next couple of years and kind of see what the evolution of this particular piece of ground is going to be like. When we do this, I mean, it's pretty easy. We put the cardboard down very, very, very thick. We did cardboard before where we only put it one layer thick, and what we found was if one single photon penetrates that cover, it's going to stimulate something to break up through there, and then once it breaks up through, it opens it up further, and then pretty soon you just got cardboard rotting down into your soil, which is not a bad thing, but it meant that we had to deal with a lot of high growth and all that stuff. And we don't mind the high growth, but we want the high growth to be something that we design a little bit more, and at the same time that we're kind of, like I say, altering the topography over here. So yeah, we get these up here, and you just pull off to the right before it freezes. Spread it out. This is about how thick you like most of it to be, just like this right here. About 6 to 8 inches thick. And then, like I say, in some places where we create those little hillocks, it's going to be as much as 2 or 3 feet thick, at least 2 feet thick in some places. That's about all there is to it.